Hello friends, this is Military Reporter Frontline Focus. Welcome to a short military video. In today's newscast, discover how 80% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure has been destroyed by Russian bombs. Learn about Ukraine's strategic gains in Kursk and the progress of their nearly complete victory plan. We highlight Ukraine's military losses due to slow Western arms and reduced U.S. aid. The Wall Street Journal reports combined Ukrainian and Russian war casualties nearing 1 million. Finally, hear about over 1,000 Hezbollah operatives injured in Lebanon from pager explosions allegedly caused by Israeli tech, and Ukraine's efforts to maintain strategic ground in Torske. In an interview with CNN's Fareed Zakaria on September 16th, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy revealed that Russia has destroyed 80% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure using guided bombs. Russia reportedly deploys 4,000 aerial bombs monthly in eastern Ukraine, targeting not only energy facilities, but also civilian schools and universities. Zelenskyy mentioned Ukraine's requests to use Western weapons against Russian planes at military bases, but no approval has been granted yet. He expressed frustration over the delay, noting that Russian aircraft have since been repositioned. Earlier in June, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal reported that Russian shelling had already demolished 50% of Ukraine's energy capacity. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced that Ukraine's victory plan is over 90% complete, with plans to present it to allies next week. In his address on September 16th, Zelenskyy outlined that the plan includes clear steps to strengthen Ukraine, asserting that these measures are feasible and significant for international law advocates worldwide. Zelenskyy previously stated he would discuss the plan with U.S. President Joe Biden during a September meeting. Although specific details remain undisclosed, the ongoing Kursk incursion is reportedly part of the strategy. The victory plan also outlines Ukraine's role in global security, diplomatic efforts to end the war, and economic considerations. Ukraine is planning a second peace summit, inviting a Russian representative, unlike its initial summit in Switzerland this June, where Russia was excluded. Kyiv maintains its stance against any ceasefire, viewing it as a chance for Russia to regroup. In an interview with CNN, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated that Ukrainian forces are enduring significant losses due to the slow delivery of Western arms, hindering their ability to equip troops effectively. Amidst tough conditions in eastern Ukraine, particularly around Pokrovsk, Zelenskyy noted that half of Ukraine's brigades lack necessary equipment, including armored vehicles and artillery. The Ukrainian leader expressed that promised weapons aid from the U.S. and European nations is arriving too slowly, leaving Ukraine with only a fraction of the 14 brigades needed fully equipped. Despite this, the U.S. is reportedly developing a substantial new aid package for Ukraine, according to White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Zelenskyy is scheduled to meet U.S. President Joe Biden soon to propose a plan for ending the conflict, focusing on security, diplomatic, military, and economic support. Emphasizing the importance of strengthening Ukraine, Zelenskyy remarked that Russian President Vladimir Putin fears domestic backlash if the war's costs continue to affect Russian citizens. Furthermore, Zelenskyy intends to seek Biden's approval for using U.S. long-range weapons to target military sites deeper within Russia, as Russian jets have extended their operational range to 500 kilometers from the front lines. Over 1,000 Hezbollah operatives in southern Lebanon, the Bekaa region, and Beirut suburbs were injured when their communication pagers exploded, according to Lebanese broadcaster NBN. While there are no fatalities reported, Israeli technology is alleged to have remotely detonated these devices in an intelligence breach acknowledged by a Hezbollah official. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon was among those injured. Reports from Saudi outlet Al Hadith mentioned over 70 casualties, with calls for blood donations by Lebanese hospitals. Witnesses in Beirut's Dahi suburb saw injured Hezbollah members, as images of the victims were requested to remain unpublished to ensure safety. Sky News Arabia noted that the simultaneous detonations involved devices used by Hezbollah for encrypted communication following an Israeli hack. Al Arabiya reported that Hezbollah instructed its operatives to discard their communication devices immediately after the incident. Social media footage showed chaos in the streets as hospitals struggled with casualties. The Lebanese Ministry of Health urged citizens to dispose of similar devices and mobilize staff to treat the injured. Prime Minister Najib Mikati directed all resources for medical aid. In a related incident, a similar communication device exploded in a car in Damascus, according to Voice of the Capital. A Wall Street Journal report reveals that combined Ukrainian and Russian military losses have reached approximately 1 million since the onset of Russia's full-scale aggression. Accurate casualty figures remain elusive, with both nations withholding official data and sometimes releasing unreliable figures. Confidential Ukrainian estimates suggest 80,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed and 400,000 injured. Meanwhile, Western intelligence reports indicate nearly 200,000 Russian deaths and about 400,000 wounded. The high losses are problematic for Russia as it deploys inadequately trained soldiers, yet more damaging for Ukraine due to its smaller population. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy previously reported 31,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed, a figure thought to be understated. Former officials indicate this is to maintain public morale and support mobilization efforts. Zelenskyy has resisted drafting men aged 18 to 25, who often lack children, to avoid further demographic challenges. Consequently, Ukraine has only partially mobilized, with the average soldier age now over 43, and is recruiting convicts and foreigners. Civilian casualties remain unknown, though Human Rights Watch reported over 8,000 deaths in Mariupol during the 2022 Russian occupation. As of September 17, 2024, Ukraine's armed forces estimate Russian troop losses at 635,880. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have successfully regained their position near the strategic location of Torske. This marks a significant shift in the ongoing conflict, showcasing the resilience and determination of the Ukrainian troops as they work to reclaim and secure their territories. Despite these victories for Ukraine, the enemy has made advances in several key areas. Their forces have been reported near Kolesnikivka, Nevsk, and Novosadov, as well as in Novorodivka, Herdivka, and Zelene Pershyn. These movements indicate a continued push by opposing forces to gain ground and exert influence over these critical regions. The ongoing clashes in these areas underscore the intense and dynamic nature of the conflict, with both sides vying for strategic advantages. The situation remains fluid and complex, as each advance and counter-advance can significantly impact the broader landscape of the conflict. As Ukrainian forces continue their efforts to hold regained positions and counter enemy advances, the international community watches closely, aware that the implications of these movements could reverberate far beyond the immediate region. With every regained position and each enemy advance, the resolve and strategies of the involved parties are tested, shaping the path ahead in this ongoing conflict. CNN reports that recent U.S. military aid packages to Ukraine have significantly decreased due to dwindling Pentagon weapon and equipment reserves. The Biden administration allocated $6 billion in PDA, but concerns over U.S. combat readiness have led to reduced supplies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has noted the impact of these shortages. Recent aid packages have ranged between $125 million to $400 million, compared to regular allocations of $600 million to $800 million in 2022 to 2023, with a peak of $2.85 billion in January 2023. Forbes reports that Ukrainian armed forces have adopted a new strategy in the Kursk region, focusing on rapid movement to encircle Russian troops. Last week, Ukrainian forces breached Russian defenses near the village of Novi put along the Russia-Ukraine border. If successful in linking up with other Ukrainian troops at the main offensive front, They could potentially isolate thousands of Russian soldiers between their positions and the border. This maneuver underscores a strategic shift, aiming to cut off enemy forces and disrupt their operations.